let's stay with Dak Prescott now. He put up points both through the air and on the ground. His rush TD was the first by a Cowboy quarterback in 4 years, and his 75 passes are the most in a player's first 2 games in NFL history without an interception. The previous mark was held by Warren Moon for the Oilers 32 years ago. Stephen A., is Dak the real deal?
Well, let's pump the brakes now. I mean, listen. I got to give credit where credit is due, but I thank you for asking me that question, Molly, Kieran, because I don't want people to think that I'm caught up in the source that they're caught up in. Yes, 75 pass attempts, not a single turnover, first 2 games, most in NFL history for a rookie and all. I get all of that. I appreciate it. I respect it. God bless him. But it's just 2 games. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit here and recognize that even though he's got some talent, even though he is good, I'm not willing to sit up there and throw a parade for him just yet. I'm looking at his schedule here. Got another game against the Giants. Got 2 more. Got 2 coming against the Eagles. Got another game coming against the Redskins. Let's also keep that in mind. Got games on the road this year against Pittsburgh, all right, at Minnesota, at the New York Giants, at Philly, all right. They got a road game at Green Bay as well. Home games, you got Cincinnati, you got Baltimore. So, I mean, Philadelphia, Washington, of course, Detroit. I'm like, wait a minute here. Let's see what he does now that folks are figuring him out. It's going to be some film on him. Go get to study him. It's a 4th-round pick for a reason. So, again, that doesn't mean that he's not going to be good. That doesn't mean that the future may not look that bright for Tony Romo, but I'm not about to sit up here and throw a parade because he beat the Washington Redskins yesterday. It was a nice thing for him to do. He looked all right. I give him credit, but let's pump the brakes just a touch. I need to see more. I'm going to require that I see more. I thought he deserved credit for yesterday. That don't have a damn thing to do with next week and the weeks to follow. Let's pump the brakes just a touch, until we see more.
It's amazing to me, Stephen A. It's like the 7th wonder of the world, the 8th wonder of the world. I don't understand how you are able to be on the wrong side of the argument from every different angle. So let me get this straight. That was good Dallas, not bad Washington yesterday. Wrong.
That is correct.
It was wrong. It was bad Washington. And now pump the brakes on Dak Prescott. Look, Dak Prescott is unlikely to take the Cowboys very far this season because he's a rookie quarterback, and rookie quarterbacks throughout the history of football very rarely do. But is it too early to say that Dak Prescott is the real deal? Just the eyeball test for a second. Before I get to some numbers to support this, just the eyeball test. Right from the preseason, you're looking at this guy going, okay, wait, he has an arm, he has legs, he makes good decisions with the ball. He can read defenses. I mean, like, is he good throwing the ball deep and get it back? He's a rookie quarterback. Things are happening very fast. But how many rookie quarterbacks from the first time you see him in preseason look as good as Dak Prescott? He has been roundly, almost universally praised since his first preseason appearance by everyone, by former legends, by his teammates, by analytics guys who look at him and go, no, that's the real deal. You can look sometimes at a guy like, for example, we were talking about Kirk Cousins. Can you say this guy's a bum? No. But is the jury still out on him? Absolutely. He has not shown consistently that he is a franchise quarterback, so there's a question mark. You can take a guy recently like Geno Smith. You can watch him early on and go, no. It's just not quite. It ain't going to happen for this guy. You can tell sometimes. You look at Dak Prescott and you think, yep, that's a franchise quarterback. The eyeball test says yes, he is missing nothing so far. And you pointed out his excellent stats. Yes, did you point out that he's 11th in total QBR this season? That's ahead of guys like Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, Drew Brees. Is it very early? Of course. Will he stay ahead of those guys all season? Probably not. Will he lead the Cowboys to the playoffs? Doubtful. But is it too early to say that that kid is the real deal? The only reason I make those comments I just made that it's not going to happen is that he's a rookie. That's it. Ben, rookies basically don't do it. Almost never. Very rarely. But Dak Prescott is absolutely the real deal. You can't tell that by watching him?
Well, first of all, as inclined as I am to defer to you when it comes to the eye test, considering those big beady eyes of yours, which is as conspicuous as my receding hairline, I'm going to refrain from doing so this morning because let me tell you something right now. We are talking about the Dallas Cowboys here. I get what you're saying about Dak Prescott and talking about the eyeball test and all. Fine, but I'm thinking about the history of the Dallas Cowboys since those years they've won Super Bowl. I'm thinking about how pathetic this franchise has been. It's been the only thing consistent about the Dallas Cowboys has been their mediocrity. The aberration has taken place on the rare occasion they actually got into the playoffs, which they did close to nothing with once they got there. That's where I'm at with the Dallas Cowboys. That's where I'm at with Dak Prescott. I'm not questioning Dak Prescott's skill set. I understand that the brother looks like he can play, and he may deserve the benefit of the doubt. But you know what? Des Bryant, when healthy, is an all-pro caliber receiver to me. Got nothing but love for Des. Didn't stop the Dallas Cowboys from being mediocre. I know their offensive line is stout. Doesn't stop them from being accidents waiting to happen. The Dallas Cowboys have always had talent. So it's one thing to look at Dak Prescott and to talk about him as a talent. It's another thing to imply that somehow, some way, he's going to be able to erase, to omit, to eradicate the level of ineptitude that these guys consistently have put forth throughout the course of 20-plus years of counting. You got an owner, for example. In my mind, he's a Hall of Famer because Jerry Jones is hype machine personified, knows how to make money for the Dallas Cowboys, brings hype to them, gets the headlines, the attention, and all of this other stuff, which is all an owner can do because he can't go out there and play for them. Got the billion-dollar playpen, definitely pays his players, etc. Got the nice helicopter now that brings him to practice. How has that worked for them? I'm still not sold. Somehow, some way. The Dallas Cowboys always have somebody you can point to, you can look at and say, that dude is legit. I like that dude. He can play for me. Blah, 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 blah. But in the end, what does it come down to in terms of what they get done and what they don't get done? The answer is not much.
Well,
because
if
they're a Dallas Cowboy, and that's Dak Prescott that I'm talking about here. He's nice, but the second Max Kellerman and others start blowing him up to a point where he gets and warrants that attention, you're going to get in his way and force that black cat that's perpetually around the Dallas Cowboys to come out, and it's going to contaminate Dak Prescott. I'm actually looking out for Dak Prescott more than Dallas Cowboy fans because I am the one that's pumping the brake. I'm looking out for him. I'm trying to help him because the second y'all blow him up, he's going to fall because he's a Dallas Cowboy.
Look, if your argument is that there's a systemic problem with the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones won't fire himself as the GM.
Go ahead and say it.
Did a pretty good job drafting Dak Prescott. No, you're wrong. You're exactly wrong. You just disproved your own argument. If your argument is that Dak Prescott somehow becomes the repository for everything that's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys, you want to put it all on him. Oh, okay, I guess you can blame Dak. He can't play defense, too. He can't draft for Jerry Jones, too, although as Stephen Jones has gained more control, they're making good moves like drafting Dak Prescott. But if we're just talking about this guy, is he the real deal or is it too early to say? I don't think it's too early to say. Some may, for example, Stephen A., you may feel it's too early to say, but let me say right now, the kid is the real deal, and he just, in his second week as a pro, he just went on the road and beat a divisional rival. And I know that Washington isn't good, and I just argued that's bad Washington. But from Prescott's point of view, on the road, divisional rival, a win, no interceptions, real deal. By the way, and on top of everything else I mentioned, he commands the huddle. His teammates like him. He energizes them. They want to play for him. They want to play with him. 100% the real McCoy.
100%. After 2 games, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's nonsensical. Go ahead, Molly. I don't even have time right now.
All right,
anything that
we
will be on the
disagree.
Cowboys.
So Dak and the Cowboys will get Chicago on Sunday, and don't forget that Chicago, of course, plays tonight on Monday Night Football. So looking forward to them facing an NFC East team in the Eagles. So we got the guys' opinions on Mr. Prescott, but now we want to hear from you guys. When Tony Romo is healthy, which quarterback should Dallas start? Go on Twitter now and vote. We want to hear from you guys. We'll share those results a little later in the show. Dak Prescott led the Cowboys to a major divisional win against the defending NFC East champs on the road, putting points on the board both through the air and on the ground. His rush TD was the first by a Cowboys quarterback in 4 years, and his 75 passes are the most in a player's first 2 games in the NFL without an interception. So we asked you guys earlier in the show, who should Dallas start when Tony Romo is healthy? Wait for it, 62% say Dak. I am shocked with Twitter right now. Ryan Clark, I don't know if you are. I want to start with you.
Twitter should never shock you.
Yeah, I know, but usually I figured they would go with Tony Romo and be loyal with their guy there, America's team. With the way he's looking, should the Cowboys want Romo back?
No, this is all about.
You're with them.
This is all about Rain Dakota Prescott. I mean, listen, I don't. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't like him. I'm an LSU guy. He's Mississippi State guy. Mississippi State is never supposed to beat LSU. And when they had him, we couldn't do anything with him one night, and I just couldn't believe it watching TV. This is a guy that could throw the football. He could run the football. He was tough. And remember, guys, he was 10-3 and 9-4 at Mississippi State starting the last 2 years. And the only other 2 offensive players drafted were drafted in the 6th round. So it wasn't like he was playing with a wealth of talent against all of these great SEC schools. And if you look at what he was able to do the first 2 weeks, he hasn't turned the ball over. He has command of the offense. The rushing score was a smart, decisive play, and it also showed his toughness. I think Tony Romo was and had been one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but we can't trust him to stay on the field. So for me, why impede Dak Prescott's progression? Why stop him from getting better? Why hurt your team by trying to put Tony Romo back in there when you never know when he's going to be out? They found their quarterback of the future. It's time to continue to ride him and get him ready to be the guy that continues to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Of course, people want Dak Prescott to keep playing. That's the fickle nature of fans. If it ain't broke, you know, oh, look, he looks good. That's the future. And yes, Tony Romo's health is unreliable. But when he's on the field, I think you still got to use him. Dak is absolutely the real deal. But when Tony Romo is on the field, even when Dallas doesn't have a very good defense, they're really good. 15-4 with Romo, 2-13 without him in the last 2+ seasons. 15-4 with Romo. That's a juggernaut.
Remember what quarterbacks were playing too, though, Mac.
I understand.
Dak Prescott.
Dak is the real deal, but he's still a rookie. He is your quarterback in the future. He's still a rookie. And in this weak NFC East, you can, if Romo comes back, they got a shot to win the division, and then who knows in playoff time. But with a rookie quarterback, I just don't think you're going to go as far. Romo, yes, unreliable, not on the field a lot, but when he's on the field, you got to take advantage. By the way, in 2014, he led the league in QBR and winning percentage, Romo, and game-winning drives with 5.
Here we go.
But listen, when he's on the field, that Dallas team, just think of your perception of the Cowboys for a second. Without Romo, damn, the NFC's weak. NFC East is weak, and the Cowboys aren't very good. With Romo, you're like, well, yeah, they're the class of the division. One player makes you think that. So Dak is the future, absolutely true. But in the present, if you got Romo, you got to play him.
Here's the deal. You can say that, and I get where you're coming from. But Ryan Clark, a real moment, is absolutely right. When you look at Dak Prescott, the fact of the matter is that you have to juxtapose that to Tony Romo. Tony Romo is 36 years of age. He's injured his back on 3 separate occasions. Even when healthy, even when he's effective, the Dallas Cowboys culturally have found a way to lose considerably more than they have won. Now here you are, you've got a young stud who's big, who's got an arm, who's developing as we speak, developing chemistry with the guys, completing 77% of his passes in between the numbers. You look at it from that perspective and think about the upside that exists there. Why disrupt the flow? If the Dallas Cowboys continue to win games, because Tony Romo's going to be out at least 8 weeks, if they continue to win games with this guy quarterbacking the team, why disrupt everything once Tony Romo comes back and put this guy to the side? You don't do that, because if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you've shown you don't have what it takes to overcome something like that. Jason Garrett ain't Bill Belichick. Your offensive coordinator ain't that much better. Jerry Jones and the hype machine that he is, okay? You might react to that. It would clearly be an emotional decision. And so when you look at it from that perspective, there is no denying that if you are the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott continues to shine, you flow with them. It's a big if. And like I said, the jury is still out. We'll see what he does.
Well,
if what we saw continues, you don't go back to a 36-year-old who continues over recent memory to get hurt.
But here's the question, Max.
You guys are jumping the gun.
We have some more weeks to see Dak Prescott. From what we've seen, you said it yourself earlier, in the preseason, the first time he touched the field, they have been singing his praises. That's not me. That's you that said that early. So
he's
all
excellent.
we've seen is good for him. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. If Tony Romo comes back, can the Dallas Cowboys, as constructed, win the Super Bowl? If your answer is yes, with Tony Romo, this is a Super Bowl winning team, then you start him. I don't believe that.
That is sound logic.
And because he's not,
Ryan,
that's why we play Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I get it. That's sound logic, but I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I think with Tony Romo, your entire perception of them changes. And look, here's the bottom line. With more or less the same kind of ineffective defense, like they were one call away from the NFC Championship game with Tony Romo in there. And you guys are jumping the gun on Dak in this sense. Is he the real deal? Yes. Will he have an excellent career if he stays healthy? I believe so. I've seen enough already to say, yeah, that's the real McCoy. But what was the issue last year when Romo got hurt? If only they could have a quarterback that could keep them treading water around 500. Boy, when Romo gets back, they got a chance to win the whole thing. I thought last year they didn't. Wait, they didn't get that. This year, they have a quarterback in Dak who's so good as a rookie. I believe with him, they can tread water. They can be around 500, giving them a shot when Romo gets back to make some noise.
Well, first of all, the 500 record that everybody was aspiring for them to have was because the NFC East was so mediocre. You could afford to do that. You had the Dallas Cowboys that had 3 wins at the time, and they were still in contention to win the division crown because that's how anemic the NFC East was until the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season. That's point number one. Point number two, I've come up with a new name, Molly, Ryan. I've come up with a new name for Max Kellerman. He is no longer Max. We're going to call him Spock Kellerman. Spot Kellerman is his name because everything is logic. Everything is philosophizing. Let me tell you something right now. If you
what are we doing here?
If you are the Dallas Cowboys, think about this for a second, Max. Think about this. If you are the Dallas Cowboys, do you realize what Dak Prescott does for them? It gives them an alibi. Because you've got a young rookie quarterback, and it buys you the understanding of that delusional, pathetic fan base of yours and critics like myself, because by keeping the rookie in there, whatever you don't do, we understand it because you're thinking about the future. If you make decisions
as an organization to satisfy your fans and Stephen A. Smith, then you will continue to be the Dallas Cowboys of recent vintage. But if you make the right football decisions, you can win.
Listen, old Tony Romo, healthy Tony Romo, is a quarterback that could have won a Super Bowl. With different people around him in a different situation, I felt like he was talented enough, and the numbers say that. He is no longer that guy. And because he is not, it is time. You got to get the emotion aside, the attachment aside. It's time to move on with this young stud that you so smartly drafted in the 4th round.
Did you hear that, Spot?
He's not still the...
Stephen A., we're giving Ryan the last word here.
He's not still the guy. I mean, I don't know. We haven't really seen a very large sample of him in the last,
the best ability is availability.
Right, and if he's available, use him.
All right.